Hey folks, this is Chris Rowe, and you're listening to Al Escobar on the Delaware Real Estate Show.
So there's been a lot of talk about the mortgage interest deduction. Eliminate it, cut it back.
That's politicians, Al. They love to hear themselves talk.
That's what it looks like to me too. I'm glad to hear you say that. Or President Obama put together a National Commission on Fiscal Reform and Responsibility. They propose in eliminating the deduction altogether and replacing it with a flat 12% credit on interest paid.
Well, that's the proposition. I doubt it'll get any movement. I really don't believe it'll get any movement, especially now that you have the Republicans controlling the House. I don't believe that the elimination of a mortgage interest tax deduction is going to go anywhere right now. And us coming up on election season, that's going to be, I think, swept under the rug. No politician wants to, when they're rerunning for office, or running for office, period, is going to bring up a program that's going to further separate us from the opportunity of writing off our mortgage. I mean, we know it, Al, is an incentive for people to buy homes. Renting, with rents, as we're seeing rents increase, there are many people that come to me and say, Chris, I'm tired of paying my landlord all that money when I know, since I'm in a 28% tax bracket, I can get, almost 30% of that written off and save a few bucks on my taxes. If you take that away from the real estate, under the current monetary policy and tax policy we have, if you take that away without changing the overall tax policy in this country, you're going to see, in my opinion, the economy hit even worse.
Oh, sure. I agree.
What do they say? I mean, for every
the bottom line. It's going to affect everybody that owns a home, that has a mortgage on a home. It's going to affect everybody.
Sure. You want to take away the tax deduction? No problem. Let's make a flat tax of 10% on all income.
Yeah, there's got to be a lot of other reforms. Yeah, the whole system needs to be reformed. Before they can't just put it all on.
How many pages of code are there? I mean, it's something that's absolutely ridiculous.
The chief economist at the University of Arkansas, Michael Packo, he said that the mortgage interest deduction, it really has no justification. The common rationalization is that the deduction makes home ownership more affordable to lower and middle income families. But who actually takes the biggest advantage of that tax deduction?
Who takes advantage? I thought everybody.
Everybody takes advantage of it, but who gets the most out of it?
I guess the person that pays the most interest.
Yeah, the person that pays the most interest. The people that get the most out of it has been reported to be the people that make over $200,000 a year.
Well, yeah. What tax bracket are they in now?
I understand that.
Okay.
Too.
Well, they're in. Okay. Well, let's say
that's what you're saying. You got to reform everything. You can't just flip it into one thing. So I'm just saying he made a good point though. His point was that the mortgage interest deduction was nothing more than a political plea because it benefits wealthier people more than the little guy, but you got to keep it so that you look good in the little guy's eyes. It's a political thing.
It's absolutely 100% political. I mean, let me ask the same question back to the doctor there, the professor. Who employs more people in the United States? People that make $50,000 a year, or people that make over $250,000 a year? So, I mean, we can take numbers and we can take statistics, and in many instances, I think we can make them fit our agenda.
Oh, that's right. The numbers never lie, and you can make them say whatever you feel like making them say.
But here's what folks need to understand: if I'm in a 35% tax bracket and I pay $1,000 in interest, I get $350 deduction. Okay, but I'm paying more taxes to begin with. So what the professor or doctor alludes to is I'm benefiting more because I'm getting a bigger deduction, but I'm paying more into it.
Right.
So I mean, they're giving me more of the money they took from me back. Is really what's happening in that scenario.
But another point that he did make was that when the government makes adjustments and things like when they did the tax credit last year. Mm-hmm. And right after that expired and all the deals came, they saw a slow in the real estate market. Okay, so they did that to stimulate the market, and it worked, for a little while. It helped out. The mortgage interest deduction wasn't really set up. I mean, I wasn't there when it was set up. I don't know why it originally came about, but is it correcting a flaw in the market? Or is it just something that people are used to, and now if they take it away to try and correct the budget, now everybody's going to uprise about it?
I don't think it's correcting a flaw in the market. I don't think people were buying homes before there was a deduction.
Well, home prices are pretty darn high. Without that, without that deduction, doesn't that keep people out of the market? We're saying we're using it to make housing more affordable, and
I guess that argument can be made, but if we, I like to take a look back at history and why things happen. I mean, people owned homes before the mortgage deduction. Did as many people own homes as they do today? Absolutely not. America has been very prosperous in that capacity, but we've had to pay for that prosperity, and we're going to pay for that in taxation. We're going to pay for that in the cost of goods. We're going to pay for that in inflation. Under the monetary policy that the United States has, our monetary policy is based on one thing, and that's debt. So instead of a wood chair, I have a pillow-covered chair on the deck of the Titanic. I don't know. I mean
now they're trying to take your pillow.
But right. Know what I mean? I mean, we can't.
It's a give and take. We're taxed, but then they give it back to us, and now they're trying to cut their budget. I understand. Believe me, I'm all about keeping my mortgage interest deduction. And
under the way we're taxed, yeah. Any way we can get a deduction, absolutely. Because let's be honest, we're the ones that make the money. We're the ones that create the wealth, okay, that the government takes in taxes. So what we want to try to do is minimize. Everybody wants to do that. Any business manager, anybody that runs a business is going to say, I need to minimize my expense.
That's right.
So I can increase my bottom line and hopefully do more than just stay alive.
And this just really proves the point that there is a full need for a lot of reform out there as far as taxes and spending goes. Because we were talking before we started the show about military spending and government spending on different things. There's a lot of different places they could cut their spending besides the people that own homes and try to take a stake in this country. And it's not just planting the flag, you're planting your family, you're planting your life in an area or two, depending on what kind of business and what kind of proposition you're in. So the mortgage interest deduction is very important, and the realtors and the people seem like they want to keep it regardless of why it's there. We don't want it taking it. You don't take it away. It just seems ridiculous.
It would definitely not make sense to take away that deduction. It definitely would not make sense.
Well, they're going to replace it with the 12% flat, but that's still a cut.
Absolutely.
So,
but see, they're saying we're making it equal, but they're not making it equal. It's going to take that person who was now at a 28% tax bracket, that guy, that guy or that family making $80,000, $100,000 combined value, mom and dad working, and they're basically going to cut their deduction by what, 60%? That's
it's a definite. It's going to make it if they change it. If they go with the 12%, it's definitely going to make a big difference in everyone's lives that owns a home. So
without a doubt.
Let's talk about something a little more fun. I want to try this segment here. It's called Cause and Effect. Cause and effect.
Whatever it is, it's not my fault, Al.
You didn't do it? You sure?
I wasn't there. I didn't do it.
All right. This week's cause and effect segment is going to be on gas prices. How about these gas prices, Chris? You think it's going to hit $5 this year?
I think if OPEC has their way, sure. Absolutely.
It's funny we were just mentioning this because, it says right here in my notes, this isn't going to slow things down a bit. People are still going to buy gas.
They're still going to buy gas. What's going to happen? And just like we were talking about, the business owner who needs to keep expenses down. Well, this rising cost of gasoline with shipping, manufacturing, things of that nature, your Lay's potato chip guy, your Hers potato chip guy, your Tasty Cake truck, all those things require gasoline.
And that's
so with the price going up, what's going to happen to my Tasty Cake Junior is probably going to go up 20 cents.
That's right. And that's our effect this week. We're going to talk about 11 things that are going to go up with the price of gas. So.
Is Tasty Cake in there, Al?
Tasty Cake is not directly in there, but I'm sure it's going to be affected, Chris.
No dip for my chip, Al.
A lot of people, gas prices go up. People work harder. They try to make more money. They try to make things more efficient. But how much more can we afford? How much more efficient can we be? It's hard to say. The bottom line is things are going to continue to increase and go up.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you an effect right here, because I know technology will make some changes to accommodate this. And I know, just in my industry and what I do, Al, as a loan officer, I don't go into the office as much as I used to because I don't need to.
Yes.
I'm connected from home with my laptop, with my smartphone.
We're connected to the world right now.
With things with Skype. There you
Live
go.
on the internet.
There you go, brother. With Skype and things of that nature. I don't have to. I mean, I can have a video conference in my pajamas in my office at home. I'm only
not in my pajamas because this is our first show. After this, be prepared to.
Thank you very much.
Your host might be in their pajamas.
I don't want to see Winnie the Pooh or anything here. Al's shaking his head at me right now.
Hey, I met an attorney one time, and I'm reading articles about the guy, and he's like. It's Gene Maurer, so it's a free plug for you, Gene. But everybody told me this guy's not your typical attorney. Don't judge him by his cover. And I go to the guy's office and I go to talk to him, and he comes out in he had some crazy scarf on, some stocking hat, slippers, and his pajama bottoms.
And it wasn't Halloween.
But luckily he didn't show up like that. When he had to go to court for so he's definitely got a suit on in court. But
so what other effects do you think?
So well, basically, I want to talk. There's 11 things that are going to go up with the cost of gas. So air travel is going to go up. So how's that going to affect the real estate community? And I think realtors a lot of times. They were living a good lifestyle. They're not going to be jet setting back and forth to Las Vegas.
Well, true as well. But I don't know. Let's take a look at another little aspect of that. People may not be traveling farther away to go on vacation, so those beach rentals now might get a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Bit more,
they're starting the local beach resorts are starting to look a lot better.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think that wasn't that what kicked off? I think that was a sign for me that things were booming in the area when you couldn't get a rental at the beach anymore.
Right. Oh, over the past, I mean, if we take a look back, Al, between like 2004 and 2007, I didn't, and my wife loves the beach. Karen loves to go down to the beach because it's what they did as the family went down the beach for a week every year. At a minimum, went down. So that brings back some good old memories, and she likes to, sit there, just relax with her toes in the sand. Who doesn't? But if you took a look at the cost of a weekly rental at the beach, which was $3,000, $3,500, you look at that and you say, well, I can take my family to Disney World, or we can go to Aruba, the Bahamas, the West Coast. You could travel for that amount. Very easily with the cost of air travel and such, and room. You can get packages online and stuff like that. So with the increase in the cost of fuel, of course, airfare is going to go up.
Yep.
So there's a few people that might push back to that weekly beach rental.
And the train is looking a lot better too.
Yeah.
You got to go, do some traveling.
Absolutely.
It might take a little longer there. How about fast food? Fast food is going to go up. I think the real estate community, and it's going to look a lot slimmer. We're going to slim down with the fast food.
I have to say, I'm one of those, and yes, I do need to look slimmer.
Me
Thank you very
too.
much,
We're all
brother.
slimming down right now, cracking up our belt.
Yeah, well, hey, I mean, it's
forcing this economy is forcing people to buckle down in all ways.
It sure is. I mean,
bananas, tomatoes, and potatoes are going to go up.
Without a doubt.
So there goes the health food idea. Everybody's going to stop eating fast food and go to the health food.
And most of those things are shipped in that we get during the wintertime, are brought in by ship right into the port of Wilmington, mostly bananas from South America and stuff like that. So the cost of fuel for one of those ships has got to go up significantly.
Hey, man, I love chicken, and we live in the chicken capital of the world, I think, around here. So I'm going to eat more chicken. That's my effect on that.
Careful, that could go off as a Chick-fil-A.
That's what I got written here. I almost mentioned Chick-fil-A, our new sponsor there.
Coming in your cow suit.
Actually, I think they're opening a new store in Dover here soon. Yeah. So, but postage, check this out. The postage is going to go up. Postage cards are going up 1 cent, and stamps, no difference. So the effect is, folks, you're still going to get the you're still going to get all that junk mail from us real estate agents trying to get you to list your property and buy with us.
So don't go postal.
Yeah, right. Don't go postal. Another thing that's going to go up, beef and bacon. So chicken is not on the list.
Oh, God, please, not that.
I'm buying a freezer for sure. Stock up now. Stock up now. How about coffee?
And your electric bill's going to go up, Al.
Yeah, I'll have to do a cost analysis on that.
Cost analysis.
See how long I can
freezer
keep
beef.
Freezer beef. And that that cheap beef's only going to be in there so long.
Oh,
don't want to buy a freezer full when the price is up. As for the coffee's supposed to go up, so I don't know if people are going to stop drinking coffee or slow down with coffee.
It's funny because you're talking about things that are, things that are commodities, such as coffee, such as pork bellies, or these are all things that are commodities, and commodities are brought to market through costs and energy.
Mm-hmm.
And with the cost, the price of a barrel of crude going up, everything's affected. Everything's affected. I mean, our whole society, manufacturing and everything, and not just here in the States, but overseas, even though the cost of labor over there may be cheap, again, petroleum is used to make so many products that we don't realize. Automobiles, not only does it run on it, but most of the plastics, all the plastics.
The automobile industry is, the body shop industry is going to increase if there's less coffee. People slow down on coffee. There's morning rush hour is going to be a lot more interesting to watch.
I don't know. I think people will still buy coffee.
I'm sure they will. They will. But if they slow down, they'll be fun to watch those cameras that are on top of the building as the rush hour goes through. There'll be a lot more accidents out there. Orange juice, chocolate,
Sure.
These things, like you said, are all commodities, and they're going to go up. We're all going to be slimmer, more efficient, and eventually we'll figure out a way to end our dependence on oil and begin a new economic revolution. It's funny, we were mentioning that stuff before we started the show, but we're never going to be able to get off of oil altogether, are we?
Can we? I think we have the technology to eventually do it.
I think there's just too many oil lobbies out there.
Yeah, well, hey, it's money, Al. Money stops everything. Okay? Money, I mean,
without it, nothing works, but it stops everything too, right?
How? The question is, what impact is going to have on the economy? And so think about, okay, we stop. You can't stop. You just can't stop it. There has to be a turnover of technology where, this plastic pen I'm holding in my hand could not be in my hand right now if it were not for oil being brought out of the ground. So what do we replace it with? Okay. Do we have ink pens not made out of plastic? Well, yeah, we can make them out of steel. Right? Okay. I mean, really? Okay. And there are pens made out of steel or aluminum or some other type of product. But what's going to happen to the cost of that? The cost of that's going to be increased because this pen was probably 3 cents to make, and they probably sold it for
12 cents, 15 cents,
well, whatever, whatever.
Wow.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to tell you what I did. I saw a documentary, and the name of this documentary by a gentleman by the name of Mike Rupert, and the name of this documentary was called Collapse. If you get an opportunity, take a look at it. And Mike Rupert has a very long history of working in investigations. He was with the LAPD. The CIA wanted to hire him, but he realized this was back in the 70s and 80s, and it was during a time where he saw through his efforts with the narco squad in LAPD how much drugs were being brought into LA by the CIA. And the CIA was trying to get him on board, and he didn't go on board with them. So the powers that be basically, took sides against Mr. Rupert, and he's had a tough life ever since. But he did this documentary, and part of what he did, being with his investigatory or investigative background, a lot of it has to do with oil. And he believes that we are past what is called peak oil, meaning we've already pumped more than 50% of the oil out of the ground. So in that conversation, as you said, we were having before, you know, I'm thinking, you know, this whole thing that I got from him, and this is the first time I've heard the phrase peak oil.
Yeah, I've heard about that before.
So, but I mean, I don't know. I have to rely on other sources to find out this information. But this documentary called Collapse made a lot of logical sense to me. There was a lot of reason that he came across with. And it wasn't speculative, it was basically documentation that he had through his investigations that showed government documentation of where we were, what was going on with the oil industry, where the government stood, and why we were in certain countries as a result of oil. So if you get the opportunity to see it, I have Netflix, which is able to bring it right up, but it's called Collapse.
Collapse by Matthew Rupert.
No, Mike Rupert.
Mike Rupert.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Very cool. All right, well, we're going to come back in a few minutes here. We're going to talk about the economy, foreclosures a little bit, and the markets. All right, folks, well, it's time to plug some of the folks who support this show, DelawareVideography.com. Please visit them for all your video needs, virtual tours for realtors, and video for everyone. YouSellDelaware.com. If you want to sell real estate on your own, don't do it without a professional. That's the letter U, SELLDE.com. Also, RichardHBailey.com. Fine art for everyone. Please visit RichardHBailey.com. It's a new age of entertainment and information out there, and it's all for free. Marshcast.com and Smodcast.com.